Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're specifically going to talk about the importance of Dungeons and Dragons being able to be played for free and how incredibly important that is, and how the low cost of Dungeons and Dragons is an absolutely critical aspect of what Dungeons and Dragons is and what it can accomplish and why it's important. Okay, so let's jump into this. So I just came back from a cruise. I am now Scott Garibay. Before today, before this video came out, was an unwizened. I was a non-world traveler. I had never traveled the far corners of the world, but I have now. Before this cruise, I'd never been out of the United States of America, and now I've traveled to Canada. So I'm a wise world traveler. I understand the complexities of international concerns and my knowledge of international elements and questions and politics and culture has been dramatically improved, right? And now I'm a world. So the Scott Garibay you look at today is a world traveler, right? No longer, the stunted, cultural, knowledged, ugly American. I've traveled the world, all right? And at this point, I am quite literally a world traveler, right? I've gone from America to Canada, and I've seen lands beyond the fruited plains, beyond the red, white, and blue bald eagle's wingspan, right? And so I went on this really incredible, very exciting, and it was, I have to say, it was probably one of the best 4 days of my entire life. But I went on a cruise, right? And of course, because I'm Scott Garibay, the gear, once I was on the cruise and I understood where I was, on like day 2, maybe day 3, after, the cruise was up and running, and I had really, understood all, everything that a cruise was, right? I immediately began thinking about the cruise from the perspective of Dungeons and Dragons, right? And it occurred to me that, the cruise was incredible. I just had the best time I could possibly have. I went with my wife, and we just had an amazing time. We enjoyed every meal. We swam in the pool. We went to see live shows. We, played games together, sports games, physical games, sports games, and then, trivia together and board games together, and just did everything you could possibly do on a cruise ship, right? And what really impressed me was just this, between two people, between the captain and the cruise director, every need we had was met, okay? Our need for safety, right? Our need for, and actually I should say, far beyond our needs were met. Not only were all of our needs met, but pretty much every possible desire we could have was met, right? We had our room was cleaned two times a day, and every single meal was like a 3-course meal where you ordered whatever you wanted from a huge menu, and it was brought to your table, literally brought to your table. Like, it's just absolutely incredible. Like, just really nothing like it. I was just blown away with the power of this, right? But what really impressed me was between two people, the cruise director and the captain, all our needs were met, right? The place we wanted to go, we were being taken to. We were able to, really just incredibly enjoy this experience, and it was phenomenal. I have never in my life experienced anything like it, and it really kind of made me think, what does this mean for a dungeon master? As a dungeon? So here's the other thing. I think tier 1 dungeon masters today, the best in the world, go into a cycle. They go into a D&D IRL cycle, right? You have Dungeons and Dragons, you have IRL, right? And these two things start to cycle around each other, right? And you get better at Dungeons and Dragons so that you can get better at life. You get better at life so that you can get better in Dungeons and Dragons. And the two make you, I'm going to say it flat out, surpass other human beings. I will tell you right now, I think the richest human lives are lived in the context of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think anything beyond a supernatural, anything on this planet that does not have a supernatural source cannot give you a better life than Dungeons and Dragons, in my opinion. It's not possible because of the strength of what was accomplished on day one in 1974 when Dungeons and Dragons was established. And it just fundamentally changes things. So one of the things is, as a dungeon master, I realized we're doing the same thing for our players that the captain and the cruise director were doing together for me and my wife. We're taking care of everything. We're making sure safety is there. We're making sure that these people are fed intellectually and emotionally, right? We're making sure that there are activities for them to do, right? We are challenging. When we were on the cruise, we were challenged, right? There were places where there was one point in particular where somebody was like, "I want you to do this thing. You've never done this thing before. Do it." And I did. I did something I'd never done before on the cruise, and we also chose to do things. I did not choose this, right? Somebody on the cruise was like, "You need to do this now," right? And it was like a direction, not a request. Or like, it was like, I was like, "Wow, that's really surprising," And now, of course, I could have refused. People give you a direction, you don't have to do it, right? But it was really surprising, and so I think, and I've really never had an experience anything like it. Right? But the reality is, what really blew me away was how much better the Dungeons & Dragons experience is than the cruise. What makes a Dungeons & Dragons experience far better than a cruise? Money. 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 Right? I will tell you right now, I don't even know what our cruise cost. And the reality, and the reason why is I'm incredibly blessed. My wife, we have this, when I met my wife, we were both working, right? But we talked together. We chose this Leave It to Beaver world where I make the money and she controls all of it. I literally don't even know where our accounts are. Like I struggle to even get cash anymore, right? But like, and the reason why is if I had in control of the money, I'd do nothing but buy books and sneakers. Like it would not work well, right? But my wife is, but there's huge benefits to this because she's better with the money and she uses it well, right? And I was like, we reached 30 years and I was like, I really want to go all out. I really want to, and we decided this way before we decided this like a year ago, before the world cracked in half, right? And thank goodness we booked it all then. But this was incredible, but it was outrageously expensive. My wife was like, usually you don't know how much things cost, but I just want you to know, like, this one was big. We spent a lot of money on this. And I was like, wow, okay, that's great. But then she said, but it was worth every penny. Are you happy with what we got? I was like, this is unbelievable, right? I was stunned. But what really blew me away was, when I came back, I wasn't sad because I was going off, out of a cruise. I was like, okay, everything that was given to me in this cruise, I want to give to my players, in the next year, right? And I made a list. I sat down. I was like, I watched two people make sure that everybody they were, that came to them got everything they needed, right? And were challenged, were fed, were, and I quite literally do feed the people at my table too. Like, I was like, there's drinks in the fridge, there's cookies, and then between we do a 6 to 8 block, and we do an 8 to 10 block. Yeah, sometimes I make breakfast burritos. Like, I literally feed them too, right? Like, but I was like, this is incredible. And what really blew me away, and what I think was just so special that I was so wonderfully charmed by, is we can be the captain, we can be the cruise director, but there's no money, right? We don't need money to do what we're doing. And that's why Dungeons & Dragons is so special. The cruise, the ship we were on, was a world to itself, and everything we needed was there. And here, we as Dungeon Masters get to do the same thing. We create this world, and everything they need is provided to them by us, right? And the dice, right? And that's no small thing. The dice are really important. And what really astounded me is we get to create this world, and we get to make it safe, and we get to make it fun, and we get to make it rewarding, right, for these people. But Dungeons and Dragons in 1974 said, we're going to equip super special human beings, they're going to be called dungeon masters, to create worlds for others, and we're going to remove the money part. That is astounding, right? Like, we had such a great time with, on the cruise, and it was so wonderful. But can you imagine being able to create a world for a person and supply all these special things, and safety, and feeding intellectually and emotionally? I really think that a good dungeon master intellectually and emotionally feeds players, right? And activities, challenge, it's all there, right? We're the captain, we're the cruise director, both, right? But what really is just unprecedented, in 1974, Dungeons and Dragons hit this earth like a comet. It just cracked everything in half. Before, all these things, before, when humans tried to help other humans, money was always in the mix. But you could play Dungeons and Dragons for free. If you think I'm wrong, go check out Sly Fleur. She's got a fantastic full list of how you can play Dungeons and Dragons for free. You can actually play Dungeons and Dragons for free. Money, the amount of, it's people complain that D&D books are too expensive. It's such a ludicrous claim. You get, like, I doubt it's even 10 cents an hour, from what you would get from the DMG to the PMG, PHB if you put it together. And it can be free. And I'm so amazed and excited to understand the cruise world and understand we have this mechanism that can do everything a cruise does, right? But we can do it for free. And this ability to help people, right? In my humble opinion, it's really important that you learn the following. Dungeons and Dragons is, in my humble opinion, Dungeons and Dragons is not a toy. It's a powerful, powerful tool. And one of the reasons why I keep pointing to it and why I say this is so important is it's free. It's free to the world, right? Dungeons and Dragons has carefully made it so that if you don't have the money to play Dungeons and Dragons, it doesn't matter. You can still play. And so we have the ability to craft this vessel and take people on these amazing journeys. But what really is special is Dungeons and Dragons completely changed everything in 1974 and said, what if you're not wealthy? It doesn't matter. No cruise in the world has ever done that, right? Dungeons and Dragons is a powerful vehicle, and it can take you places, and it can take your players places, in my opinion. And I'm incredibly excited and blessed to be back from my tour, but my cruise, back from my cruise. But I'm really just even more impressed with how powerful a tool I think Dungeons and Dragons truly is. It's time. Realize Dungeons and Dragons is not a toy. It's a tool, in my humble opinion. And you can do some powerful things with it. Get to building. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.